My husband abandoned me at a bus stop 30 kilometers from the city, without my wallet or phone. He simply said, "Get out." And when I got out, he slammed on the accelerator, leaving me in a cloud of dust. 15 years of marriage ended right there, on that dusty patch of land by the suburban road. I sat down on the bench, and tears of despair began to flow on their own. I was already preparing to walk, maybe for 6 or 7 hours. But suddenly an old woman, who was sleeping on the bench wearing dark glasses, said, "Pretend you are my granddaughter. My personal driver will be here any moment." In an instant, a long black car glided silently to the stop. The driver respectfully opened the back door. The old woman, whom he addressed as Irina Arkadievna, sat down next to me. As soon as the car started moving, she took off her glasses. Her eyes were not blind. They were incredibly alive, sharp, and all-seeing. "Your husband's name is Alexandru," she said. "He is 42 years old. He's a petty official who wants to seem important. He got into huge debt for a villa capable of impressing his bosses. This morning he asked you for 300,000. I froze. She knew everything. She said she would help me, that she would provide the best lawyers. But it wouldn't be free. When the time came, I would have to return the favor. I understood I was making a deal, but the fear of being stranded on that road was stronger. She took me to her immense house, a true fortress, and told me, "Now, go home. You need to see everything with your own eyes." Victor, her driver, took me. My key didn't fit the lock. He had changed the locks. I knocked, but in response there was only silence. Then on the building staircase he appeared, Alexandru, arm in arm with a young, beautiful woman, Zania, the city prosecutor's daughter. They had already called the police. Alexandru calmly showed them the documents, the divorce filing, a restraining order forbidding me from approaching him, and a sales contract dated 2 weeks prior. My signature was on the document attesting that I had sold him my apartment, my parents' apartment, for a symbolic sum of 100,000 rubles. It was a perfect signature, 100% fake. Alexandru also declared that I had stolen a large sum of money from the apartment. Irina Arkadievna arranged for me to attend a charity evening. "Go and ask him one single question," she said. I found him there, shining and self-assured. I approached and asked him loudly what right he had to sell my mother's apartment. Silence fell over the room, but then Zania intervened. She took out her phone and showed everyone a video of me, drunk, singing a song at my nephew's birthday party a few weeks ago. "She is not in her right mind," Zania said. "She is an alcoholic and doesn't remember what she signs." I was publicly humiliated. The next day I was fired from my job. Irina said that going to court was useless. "We need something he couldn't have faked," she said. I remembered. The old family dacha? There, in a hiding place, in a small fireproof safe, I found not only the original deeds to the apartment, which proved my inheritance rights. I found something worse, 2 foreign passports, in Alexandru's and Zinia's names, and a stack of documents for the construction of a new commercial complex. Permits, licenses, and on the main document, which approved the project on behalf of the factory, was my digital signature. He was pinning a multi-million fraud on me. He was stealing my apartment to get escape money and leaving me here to take the fall for everything. Desperate, I called the only person close to me. My sister, Tanya. We met at a cafe. I showed her everything. She was terrified. "I know a man," she said, "an independent lawyer from Moscow. He has no ties to our local prosecutors. I will take these terrible papers to him. He will start working at the federal level." I gave her the compromising materials, keeping only the file with the apartment documents for myself. For the first time in days, I felt a sense of relief. And the next morning, the police burst into Irina Arkadievna's house. "You are under arrest," the investigator said, "for fraud on an especially large scale." They knew exactly where to look. They pulled the blue file with the apartment documents from under my mattress. The investigator was calling someone. Our thanks to the anonymous informant for the precise location. As I was leaving, I saw who he was shaking hands with. The independent lawyer from Moscow. My sister Tanya hadn't gone to any Moscow. She had called Alexandru. She had sold me out. Irina Arkadievna posted bail. "Your sister is the prosecution's main witness," her lawyer said. "You're facing up to 10 years. The old woman was calm. "You've cried enough," she said. "It's time to think." She sent me to the journalist Boris, whom Alexandru and Daddy Prosecutor had once destroyed. We started digging. We found out that Alexandru was being blackmailed. Someone was regularly receiving huge sums of money from him. One evening, I was sitting in Boris's car and saw Alexandru give a thick envelope to a nondescript man. We followed him. The blackmailer approached a car and gave the envelope to the driver. The driver lit a cigarette. It was the same rare brand of cigarettes. It was Victor, Irina's driver. The picture came into focus. The blackmail, the accidental rescue at that bus stop, it had all been her. Irina. I burst into her office. You knew everything. Yes, she answered calmly. It turned out that many years ago, Alexandru had helped to ruin her, to take her first factory. This was her long, cold revenge, and I was the perfect instrument. Now you're angry, she sneered. You've become dangerous, good. She threw a file on the table. Compromising material on Prosecutor Zabolotsky. Bribery. Go to him, she said. Make a deal. He drops all charges against you. You give him this, and you leave town forever. I was sitting in the almighty prosecutor's office. I put the photos down in front of him. His face turned gray. What do you want? I want the case closed immediately. Fine, he managed to say. The deal was on the table. Freedom in exchange for my silence in my apartment. I looked at this terrified man. I remembered my husband's face on the highway. My sister's face. And Irina's face pulling the strings. They all wanted me to disappear. I slowly gathered the photos back into the file. What are you doing? I'm not going to negotiate, I said, and headed for the door. I went out into the street and didn't go to Victor's car. I went to Boris. Now, we play my game, I told him. The plan was bold. We started a rumor about Swiss investors ready to buy the rights to that fraudulent project at double the price. Xenia and Alexandru, blinded by greed, took the bait. They wanted to make one last score before fleeing. The meeting was set at the expensive Ambassador Hotel. But 2 hours before, Alexandru called. Change of plans, he said. We're meeting at the factory. At 7 p.m. in your old office. Come alone, with the documents. It was a trap. They intended to kill me. They are expecting a victim, I told Boris. They'll get one. Now call this number. I gave him Irina's number. Tell her that today is the finale of her play. And to send spectators. Then I took my own phone. I called Alexandru, using a voice-changing program. I pretended to be Tanya in a hysterical fit. I screamed into the receiver. Alexandru, you promised. Are you confirming that you covered my debts in exchange for my silence? That we are using Xenia's father and then you'll shut him up? And he, irritated, confirmed everything. I saved the recording. At 7 p.m., I walked into my old office. All three of them were there. Alexandru, Xenia, and the prosecutor. Where are the investors? Xenia asked. They're here, I said quietly. At that same moment, blinding floodlights hit the window, bathing the entire factory courtyard in a merciless white light. Alexandru rushed to the window and saw Boris with his camera and people in sober civilian suits. It's a setup, the prosecutor yelled. Alexandru lunged at me, but I pressed the play button on my phone. The office filled with his voice, confessing everything, bribing my sister, the fraud, the plans for the prosecutor. Zabolotsky looked at him with pure hatred. The door burst open and federal agents entered. Everyone stay in place. The anti-corruption department is at work. A few weeks passed. The locksmith was finishing the installation of the third, most secure lock on my front door. On Monday, I was returning to work. As the head of the planning department, the very one they had almost destroyed. I was home. And now, I was the one who decided who could walk through my door.